Hi, good afternoon, everyone. You are participating right now in the second in a series of 4. This is the AFCEA Innovation Connection, and we are thrilled to be able to present to you some new technologies. We've got some terrific judges that are going to be helping support us, and this is a chance for us to spend about an hour and a half together looking at what's out there, what's new, what's coming down the pike, and also get some great insight from our esteemed judges. So I wanted to let you know that this AFCEA Innovation Connection was really started by the Small Business Committee at AFCEA, and we wanted to make sure that we had small businesses represented. There's a lot of technology, as you know, that comes out of these small, nimble, agile companies. And this is a chance to actually showcase what they've been up to. So we put this series together. AFCEA International is supporting it. And we've had a lot of great feedback from members who definitely want to showcase what they have. And we have companies at various stages. Some have been around for a little while. Some are brand new startups, wonderful ideas. So we're going to have a day filled with lots of interesting topics. I wanted to introduce to you Heather Lacroix. She is the president of Chenega Technologies. She's going to be the moderator with me today. And she is the co-chair of the Small Business Committee and actually soon to be the president or the chair of that committee. Heather, I think your term does it start in July or is it September?
September.
Okay, great. And she's been a big advocate of innovation. So Heather, would you like to introduce the judges for today's session?
Oh, yes. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here with such an esteemed group of not just judges and, panelists, but also the participants who are about to meet. So we'll get started with introducing the judges. First up, we have Mr. Glenn Hernandez, who's a senior consultant from UpEdge Solutions. Mr. Hernandez, would you like to give a brief background of yourself?
Absolutely. A pleasure to be here. Good day, everyone. My name is Glenn Hernandez, retired Coast Guard. I'm an independent consultant since I finished my tour of duty as the Chief Information Security Officer of the Coast Guard. Had the supreme privilege of serving the American people and the maritime public in so many different areas. And so getting into the technology area is something that I really enjoy, and helping companies overcome some of the hurdles they're seeing. And with my experience in DHS and the military, it's great to see, all the different opportunities that are out there for folks. And I really enjoy trying to strategically find those ways to help companies. And so being a lifetime member of AFCEA, this is a great opportunity to give back. And I also participate in the Cyber Committee of AFCEA, and I lead 2 subcommittees there, the Zero Trust Strategy Subcommittee and the Workforce Development Subcommittee. But thank you very much, and great to be here.
Thank you so much. Our next judge is Ms. Polly Hall, an Acquisition Innovation Advocate from DHS Procurement Innovation Lab. Ms. Hall?
Hi. Thank you, Heather. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in great.
That's awesome. Terrific. Yes, Polly Hall, I'm the Executive Director of the DHS Procurement Innovation Lab and also serve as our department's Acquisition Innovation Advocate along with peers across the federal government. And the role of the lab at DHS is really to think about how we can ensure that our procurement process supports our ability to lower entry barriers for small and emerging and new entrants to our DHS marketplace so that we can and streamline and simplify our acquisition process so that we can ensure that our mission gets the goods and services it needs at the speed of need. And a big part of those goods and services for our DHS mission is IT. It's a big part of our spend at DHS, and we really need to make sure that our frontline folks have the right tools to do the important work that they do every day. So I'm always excited to hear about new capabilities that are being developed from companies, and look forward to participating in today's session.
Thank you so much. Our next judge is Mr. Armando Say, the Director of Dreamport Cyber Mission Accelerator. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi, this is Armando Say. Thank you guys for inviting me on to this. Dreamport was founded about 3 years ago as an idea that came out of U.S. Cyber Command, and I'm happy to report that it's expanded and grown into multiple facilities. We have another facility called Mindscape. Dreamport's mission is to be the cyber mission accelerator for any of our stakeholders. Happy to say, I see Polly's there. I've been working with DHS on the CISA side in terms of critical infrastructure. A lot of work there. Working with the energy sector, cyber resilience, kind of in the news these days. Working on zero trust. Glenn was mentioning zero trust. We have the unclassified NSA zero trust reference architecture lab at Dreamport. Workforce, we're doing academic engagement on a continuous basis. Have the Marforce Cyber sponsored UTSA, school, a bunch of college students from coming over. Our job is similar to Poly, which is to accelerate the ability of the government to get access to novel technology wherever it exists, but also novel experts. So we keep our staff light and we go to industry, small business, innovation to try to bring those technologies and allow our stakeholders such as NSA, Cyber Command, Joint Artificial Intelligence Centers, DCSA, DISA, any one of those stakeholders who gives us a mission to go out and solve a problem. So I'm excited to be on this panel. Thank you so much for having me join.
Well, thanks for joining us. So I'm not sure if we're able to get Dr. Cami Sangera back on, but she is the Interim Executive Director of the Institute for Digital Innovation from George Mason University. Elizabeth, were you able to successfully reconnect?
I'm working on it. It looks like she can hear us, so we'll keep trying to get her being able to actually talk to us.
All right, wonderful. Well, as soon as she's able to join, we're happy to make that introduction. Barbara?
Yes. So with that esteemed panel, I think it's time to start the slides. The first participating company is going to be Human Touch. And we have Bill Liberty, who's the Senior Director Operations. And Bill, we're going to turn it over to you.
Okay, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Well, good afternoon. I am Bill Liberty. I'm a Senior Director of Operations at Human Touch LLC and Bearing Human Touch, our 8A ANC joint venture. I'd like to thank AFCEA for including us in the presentation today and wish my fellow presenters good luck. And let's see. Yep, that worked well. Okay. We're very pleased to be with you today to present our Connect to IT kiosk and smart locker solution. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Human Touch. For over 20 years, we have been providing high-quality IT services and products to federal, civilian, and defense customers. We strive to help our clients succeed by combining our deep functional expertise with the human element, while also keeping an eye on the complex and dynamic political, economic, and technical environments. We are partners and trusted advisors to our clients, and they recognize our commitment to excellence in customer service. Now, on to our Human Touch, Connect to IT kiosk, and smart locker solution. The photo in the center of the screen shows the kiosk on the left and the smart locker on the right. Kiosk is a freestanding, network-connected, video-based connection between your employees and our technicians that enables enhanced and efficient IT support 6 feet or 600 miles away. The smart locker complements the kiosk and provides safe, secure, short-term storage, distribution, and acceptance of customer PCs, mobile phones, and tablets. Both the kiosk and the smart locker have provisions for technicians to directly access devices remotely. As the technician works through the troubleshooting process with the customer, he or she will typically ask the customer to use one of the 3 cables on the kiosk to connect their PC, mobile phone, or tablet. At that point, the technician can access all of the PC's capabilities and see what the customer sees, even if the PC is experiencing a blue screen event. While we developed this solution before COVID-19, the Connect to IT kiosk and smart locker solution has proven to be a very effective for safe, high-quality IT support now and in the future. Today, while employees are largely teleworking, there are some that must come into the office. In addition, there are teleworking employees who need more than just phone support and must come on site. With the IT support staff teleworking too, scheduling on-site visits with technicians can be cumbersome and challenging. When they do come on site, your employees and the support staff must follow social distancing and PPE guidelines. With the exchange of equipment and the typical employee-technician close interactions, this type of support can put all of them at risk. With the Human Touch Connect to IT kiosk and smart locker solution, IT support is safer by eliminating the in-person interaction of employees and technicians, accessible 8 hours a day times 5 days a week, or 24 hours a day times 7 days a week, with no appointments required, reliable with the same high quality services that you're used to, compatible and versatile by providing direct technician access to PCs, Apple, and Android devices, compliant with Section 508 and ADA policies with screen readers, text zoom, a headset port, and braille labeling on the kiosk. And finally, advanced diagnostic tools so you can be hands-off while your technician accesses and troubleshoots your device remotely. We encourage all of our customers to place the kiosk and smart lockers as close to the building entrance as possible so a teleworking employee can come to the building, access the kiosk, and get the support they need. The employee can then get back to work at home. We work closely with our customers to ensure that the kiosk and smart lockers are approved in their computing environment, adhering to your specific security policies and guidelines. We've implemented several of the kiosks in the federal government environment on the East Coast, and we are working to place one in the Midwest and one on the West Coast in the next month. We continue to get very valuable feedback on from our current and potential clients and are beginning development on version 2.0. We encourage our future clients to consider a 60, 90, or 120-day pilot of the solution. Pricing is one monthly fee for the devices and the technician services. We offer it all as a service, or what we call kiosk as a service. We are available through GSA Schedule and offer sole source opportunities through our Bearing Human Touch joint venture.
And with that, I believe your time is up. Very interesting presentation. So now we'll turn it over to the judges. Glenn, do you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, William, for your presentation. I'm sort of curious, what was the model behind your business proposal to create the Connect to IT structure? Did you have a model that's standardized in the business world or in the IT world that you used? Over?
Well, so when we were all traveling a lot more, I spent a lot of time going through airports and renting vehicles, and saw how beneficial the kiosk-based car rental facilities were, and looked at things like telemedicine and doctors access through a kiosk, those types of human kiosks, and felt like that's probably something that we could construct for the IT support environment. And with our several presences at federal government organizations providing IT support, it seemed like a logical direction for us to go.
No, thank you, William. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Armando?
Oh, there we go. Hey, William, interesting concept. So I have a question about the kiosk concept. So it does require the employee to get to a site, right? Because they have to put their device and connect it to the kiosk. So the kiosk's intent is secure remote access to the asset that's having the issue. Is that the thrust? So that they can get tech support?
Yes. So you're absolutely correct that the customer would have to get to the kiosk, and we are installing them at regional locations, at headquarters offices, so that if there are folks that are on site and need that support, but the technicians might be off site or it's after hours, they can still get that support that they need. If it's someone who's teleworking or working from home, they could come into the location where the kiosk and locker is and quickly come in, get the support they need, and then leave. And so even if the technicians are in the same building as the kiosks, I mean, it's a great way to have some distance between the technicians, and something that we've been seeing at the various locations where we provide help desk and support services. You try to spread people out so that the technicians and the customers are separate, and in some cases, this is a better solution for that.
Does the kiosk
right.
load any software? Does it put an agent on the device? Loads any software? You talked about the cable, but there's any? I mean, the authorization, the passwords, or does it require the person with the problem to also be at the kiosk at the same time the technician's accessing it? So that way they're putting in their credentials in order for the technician to be able to get to the asset and try to triage it by remoting in or using different tools to sort of diagnose what could be wrong with the laptop or the particular endpoint that you're triaging. And is it just laptops, or is it also other devices?
It's
and
laptops
and Windows. Does it do other Mac, Windows, or Linux? Is it ubiquitous in terms of the OS?
Right now, it's Windows 10 devices.
Okay.
And it's also Android and Apple phones and tablets. With the phones and the tablets, we're really only able to see what's on the device. And so we work with the customer and say, if you look up at the top corner and click on the such and such icon, and then proceed from there, as opposed to being on the phone and you say, find the icon that looks like a little gear. I'm not sure where it is on your phone. So it's a much better process. With PCs, there's actually a switch inside of the kiosk that once you connect a PC to it, the technician, wherever they are, can make a direct connection to that PC. So in essence, it's like the customer and the technician sitting in front of each other. And if you were to sort of turn the PC to the customer or turn the PC back to the technician, they'd be seeing the same thing and they'd be seeing it the same way. So credentials would be put in by the customer because they're accessing the PC at the same time the technician is.
We just got a message at our time. I got a couple of more questions like that's the kiosk. How does it connect to the network? What are the trust credentials associated with it? What's the tech stack in there? But I'm going to let some other folks ask questions, or we're going to move on to something else. I saw the 5-minute warning. So sorry about that.
Thanks very much.
Sure thing.
Armando, this is Polly. And Bill, thanks so much for your presentation. It is intriguing. A lot of the functionality and how I've seen organizations evolve during COVID has been really much, IT pushing into our systems remotely. And so, I'd like to have you share a quick kind of story about how the kiosk-based support offers advantages that remote push-in for IT support may not be thinking about. And also then from the locker, from a asset management control perspective, how you've worked through some of the, obvious questions that I can imagine property managers might have had around that.
Okay. So some of the traditional remote access tools require the PC to be in a certain state to be able to put an agent on the PC so that they can do the direct access back and forth. In this case, it could even be in a state that might not be in Windows or might be in a degraded state. And so because there's that direct connection to the PC, can still get on it. If it's got a blue screen or if it's in BIOS mode or something like that, we can still connect, the technicians can still connect to the PC and do whatever they need to troubleshoot, reboot, add software, those kinds of things.
Bill, I
go
think
ahead, please.
Your time is up, unfortunately.
Okay.
But thank you. A great presentation.
Thanks very much.
Heather, did you want to introduce the next participant?
Oh, sure. So next, let's move on to AI site. Oh, is that the next one in the order?
I believe it's Colvin Run.
So Colvin Run, my apologies. Colvin Run, you're up.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, it's good to meet everybody. My name is Nikhil Shenoy, co-founder, CEO of Colvin Run Networks, based out of Tysons Corner, Virginia. We're founded in, actually, move to the next slide. So we were founded in 2018. We won our first SBIR in 2019. And we're very proud to use that as America's seed fund. I'm actually working on our 14th SBIR contract this week. So it's been a very exciting time, right? The opportunity afforded to us to grow from 3 people to 14 over the last 7 months. We've got a great team to address the problems that I'm about to dive into, including subject matter experts, former DARPA program managers from the Microsystems Technology Office. We have our VP of Innovation, who is a BAE Systems Supply Chain Technology Director and very well versed in the microelectronics supply chain assurance problem that we are solving right now. I'd also like to recognize my advisor, Al Mink. He's a prominent AFCEA member here, and afforded me some great opportunities as we've kind of started from nothing into where we are today, including me leading the AFCEA Technology Committee blockchain vector, which is a key component of our solution. So with that, let's dive in here. So, as the Colonial Pipeline issue this week has kind of shown us, data has surpassed oil in value, right? The thieves attacked a pipeline and stole no oil. It was all data. And the Chinese and our international near-peer competition recognizes this, right? So there was a big article in Bloomberg a few years ago about this, and they refreshed it earlier this year about the extent of data competition. And microelectronics and semiconductor supply chain is one of the few things that Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden's administrations both agreed on, with executive orders shown here. And so a major headache, right? If you're, one of the things they mentioned talking about was Christensen's jobs to be done, right? Is some of this compliance with Section 889. So while the problem is acute today in defense, understanding kind of who the OEM is for your camera. I don't know if anybody on the camera on the conference here knows who the OEM is for the camera you're using right now, but that's a requirement for defense contractors, and it could become a bigger deal as these shortages and competition persists. And then moving over to the right, the supply chain constraints introduce the opportunity for counterfeits, right? The ROI increases as supply is constrained, that impacts security and safety. So short term, again, the DoD is very focused on this problem and why they funded us to the extent that they have. But longer term, our vision is that consumers are going to want more choice in their electronics decisions as well. So I can make low carb decisions based on nutrition facts for my body, and those same types of decisions are simply not possible for electronics today. For example, most people would think you're insane if you want to put a microphone on your bedroom wall, but if you have a smart thermostat in your bedroom, you've already done that. So how do we address this problem, right? I think the key ingredient here is provenance. Having a tested, attributable way of understanding what goes into your system is something that is a very painful problem for defense primes and defense companies to do in the commercial technology that they use today, right? And as that extends, the use case for an FPGA and a nuclear guidance system is going to be different than the one in a Tesla Model 3. But the same solution applies in terms of data and attribution, right? So again, microelectronics are tiny parts with tremendous impacts. So I'll go quickly here and happy to answer more questions if you're curious about it. Now, you can throw a rock in Northern Virginia and hit 10 companies that do supply chain metrics. And that's kind of the ante, right? Is this organizational level analytics. So the way I think about it is consumer reports, right? Reports on brand level, a Hyundai Santa Fe or Apple iPhone, and they give you great information about that at that level. So that's the organizational trust, and we've built that part of it using open data. The key differentiator we have is component assurance, where we collect, curate, and connect that data using, and the ability to create the Carfax type report for your specific iPhone or for your specific electronic component. And so we've built this with $1.3 million in SBIR funding. We're working with major U.S. manufacturers and defense primes. A lot of them don't work without a charge code, and so we're looking for about $14 or $15 million, rough order of magnitude, to kind of take this to the next level. We built this on W3C open standards out of DHS SVIP program. Happy to talk more about that if you're interested. Looks like I'm running out of time. And our strategy is actually, this is a path that's been trodden before. Some of you may be familiar with SAIC and their role in the domain name service. That actually started out as a National Science Foundation grant to a small business. And so we've kind of done the first maybe third of that journey, where we've gotten some great federal backing. We're building a public utility that leverages modern technology in an innovative way. We've got a great fan base, and I'm happy to answer more questions about what we're trying to do here. Do I still have time?
Do we want to have Dr. Cami, do you want to take the crack at this since you didn't have a chance the last time?
So, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And so sorry for the troubleshoot. So, Cami Senora, I am the executive director for the Institute for Digital Innovation, which is a third institute at George Mason University. And this is definitely something something that we are watching every day. So, Nicole, really good job.
Well, thank you. The dashboard here, the organizational trust, was built by Kelly Glebus, who was our developer from the George Mason Cybersecurity Internship Program. And she just accepted a full-time offer to join us. So we're very excited. And thank you for doing that.
Interesting. Can you specify how is this going to help with the cyber manufacturing?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, one thing we're looking at is this was funded by the Defense Microelectronics Activity, right? And so what DoD is trying to do is shift, and the model they have is full trust, right? So I know exactly who touched which piece. We vetted them, and the way that they talk about it in OSD is kind of guns, guards, and gates, right? So for these highly sensitive pieces, they've kind of taken what I call an old school approach to it, right? In physical security. What we're doing is trying to democratize that using digital tools. How can I trust the components in my pocket better without having to go through guns, guards, and gates for my iPhone? Does that make sense? So the idea is that, by having authentic data and the curation of attested data and marrying kind of public data from organizational level with the private data at the component level, we can create new levels of assurance at the individual component level. Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been thinking about, how is it going to be helping with the manufacturing from Department of Energy perspective?
Oh, yeah. Actually, one of our advisors, Dr. Brian Cohen, just introduced us to DOE, and they're very interested in this because apparently, from an infrastructure perspective, right, the electric vehicle grid that we're trying to build out to make electric vehicles almost like gas stations are, right, and having that placement all around the country, there's a lot of concern, right? I mean, you're seeing it play in real life with this Colonial Pipeline thing. It couldn't have better, it's a horrible situation. But in terms of a solution like this, securing that infrastructure has never been more important. And the electronic provenance goes a long way towards it.
So this is Armando. I have a couple of questions if I could.
Yeah, please, absolutely.
So this is something I've been working with the Department of Defense on, the Department of Energy, the Samani Institute, which just spun off of the Department of Energy funds. Cybersecurity Manufacturing Innovation Institute that's got a number of some of the top national labs and industry all around the problem of supply chain, securing the manufacturing sector, but also by reducing energy, by cyber as a fundamental foundational aspect. So on the organizational trust side, that's an OSINT sort of a solution where you're taking a company name, some basic information, and you're trying to find out something like maybe FOCI, sort of foreign corrupt practices, or is there any risk there? Is I understand that correctly, or am I missing that part of side? Am I misunderstanding that side of the?
No, that's on par. So there's several open data sources out there. One's called GuideDep. There's the MITRE CVE, Common Vulnerability Association. There's CWE, which I forget what it stands for. But there's several open data sets. And actually, we had 2 other George Mason interns help us with this, who kind of curated this data. But yeah, that's the first ingredient. The other thing is that we've created a platform to kind of collect private data in there as well. So right now we're working with a trusted supplier system, so DMEA certified suppliers on user-driven design as to kind of, because every company has their own scoring system, right, to manage their own internal risk. So it's a very fragmented market. And so what we're trying to do is work with users to build a useful tool for them. And then whatever's that common denominator across the network that we build out, that's something that we can then leverage over and over again.
So I'm not familiar with the open sources because I've been working on more on the classified side on this, but OSINT is. But those data on that side, is that refreshed with foreign language, foreign related data? Because a lot of what we do, we're looking not just within our borders, we're looking across the border to try to detect issues associated with owners of supply chain companies. So that's that side of it. On the second side are you just IoT or you're IT and OT as well? And are you looking at the firmware level? And then how do you do that? Is it continuous assessment of the device when it's coming in and out of a facility, when it gets an update, an auto upload, those kinds of things? Or if the component is already been compromised at the source before it hits the loading dock and then enters the supply chain? I know it's a lot of questions, and I'm sorry, and you don't have to answer them all, but that's just where my head.
My email address is very simple, nikhil@colvinrun.net. I'm happy to show you a demo and kind of walk you through actually I think I counted 6 use cases in your question. So, we've got 12 different vignettes that we've created. So we're very excited about that, and we're ready to kind of take this to the next level.
Yeah, I'd love to take a deeper look at it. Because I'm just right in the middle of a number of different things for a number of different agencies where we're looking at this problem at a number of different levels. I'm actually bringing some technology into the lab now to test out the fidelity of their ability to detect firmware compromises in IoT and OT and IT devices. I've seen some limited things that are only IoT or certain IoT, but we're very interested in something that's more horizontal because the threat, as you know, is horizontal, then it goes vertical from there. So when you talk about zero trust, when the tech stack is already infected and you're inserted into a zero trust model, you still have a lack of, you already have a compromise in your zero trust model. So those are the kinds of things I'm looking at. All right, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to fill up.
Zero trust.
Somebody reclaim their time.
Thanks, Armando.
Thank you so much. No,
thank you.
That was great, and I love it because you can see how these kind of sessions they lead to many more questions and interests. Heather, do you want to call our next? Thank you very much. That was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Yes. So our next contestant up will be Wendy Moore from G-Cubed.
Okay, trying to get the webcam started. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. As a member of the Small Business Committee, I want to thank you for participating. My name is Wendy Moore. I am the Chief Operating Officer for G-Cubed Enterprises. We're located in Stafford, Virginia, here in the National Capital Region. We are presenting this particular technology in partnership with Pure Li-Fi. This G-Cube, just a little bit of an overview. We were founded in 2014 by a retired Signal Chief Warrant Officer out of the Army. Our revenue is running about $10 million. We're excited to say that $4 million this year will be attributable to selling this particular technology to USERA there with the Army. Now, what Li-Fi is, KiteFin Li-Fi, is that current wireless communication is running on a Wi-Fi signal and radio frequency technology. And that is not only becoming saturated, but when you're talking about utilizing it OCONUS, you have difficulty with deconfliction with frequency that we're utilizing in relation to our host countries. In addition to that, it's becoming just saturated. There was a recent recent study done that 90% of technology is being utilized indoors. And so we have moved our technology into the Li-Fi spectrum, which is utilizing light frequency in order to move technology off of radio frequency and onto light frequency. The challenges that it solves with radio frequency is radio frequency is susceptible to jamming. Also, it is detectable. So when you're looking at OCONUS especially, you want to ensure that you are protecting your your forces. And so the radio frequency spectrum is detectable, whereas utilizing the light frequency is not detectable. Additionally, light frequency has it's open-ended, and so it is speed for data. There is increased speed for data transmission. From an OCONUS perspective and a tactical edge perspective, it becomes incredibly important. From a setup and a tear down, it requires less equipment in order to run the Li-Fi technology in the TOCs, and so it makes it easier for those at the tactical edge to set up and tear down. Also, it's not detectable. You cannot intercept it. It's not vulnerable to spectrum scanning. And the spectrum and the space planning is identical across the globe, which makes it easier, again, because you do not have to deconflict with your host nations. Now, from a local perspective, if you're looking at utilizing it inside the United States, there is also a myriad of use cases for that, because now that the radio frequency spectrum is becoming so saturated, you are now being able to utilize a new spectrum with which to run your data. This is a picture of what this looks like. It is ruggedized for the tactical edge. And so again, not jammable, fully cyber secure. So G Cubed originally started out, our chief warrant officer and founder, Mr. Vernon Green, is a cybersecurity expert. We have been primarily a services company, but as we look at the services and the products that are out there, we decided that the hardware is the next stage in which we have to address in order to ensure that we are being cyber secure, both from a hardware perspective and a services perspective. It is also compliant with DISA and STIGs. So it is. Oh, there's Vernon in the background. My apologies. And so you're utilizing unlicensed spectrum. It has enhanced force protection and security. And with that, I am open to questions, understanding that I have 30 seconds left.
Hi, Wendy. Yeah, this is Glenn.
Hi,
Great
Glenn.
presentation. Appreciate it. I'm sort of curious. Can you explain a little bit more of the use cases that the Army's finding applicable of this technology with the kite fin? And then the follow-up would be, can you explain some of the feedback that you've gotten from the Army in terms of future enhancements or what they would want you to take your technology to the next level?
Okay, so from a highly technical perspective, if I need to, I reserve the right to tag in my CEO, Mr. Vernon Green. So I hope you guys don't take offense to that. But right now, the Army is very excited about this product. We do have an ATO, so it is a relatively new product that the Army is implementing. So we have a local ATO with USERA. On the Nipper, we are moving into the SIPR, which this is one aspect of this particular technology that I didn't highlight, is that you can have several different networks within the same spectrum. And the reason that that's important, it's all utilized. So you've got the light up here that you can see up here, and then it reads through these dongles that attach via USB into the computers. And so you can have nipper and sipper within the same room that helps with enhanced security. And the only way you feed that particular network, which enhances the security, is through the dongle. And so that is why the Army is looking at this. Additionally, so from a security perspective, and also because it's non-detectable. So you can't, RF frequency extends outside of the building, whereas this is solely within the light spectrum with which you're working in. Does that answer your question, Glenn?
Partly, but we can follow up later on. But thank you very much for sharing.
We have 30 seconds left, Wendy, if you want to wrap it up.
I got a quick question for Wendy. So, Wendy, I've tested related technology to Li-Fi. So it's some stuff that started out in France, and had some of the so I'm very familiar with. Question for you. With this tablet, there is some line of sight, right? To keep there's got to be, you got to put sensors out just like you do with 5G, so that the signal keeps going. That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
there is line of sight, which gives you your enhanced security. So if you're talking about within a facility, let's say a SCIF, where you do not want that frequency to go outside of that particular environment.
Right.
And so we are looking at some additional technology to increase that line of sight. There is another technology in order to expand upon this. However, I'm not at liberty to expand upon that at this particular juncture. But yes, it is line of sight, which is the reason for its enhanced security.
Right. So it requires you to deploy those sensors in the ceiling and walls so that the signal. Okay. So yeah, I'm very, very familiar with this. I'm good. Thanks. All right.
But the sensors also double as your light. So if you're installing the lights anyway, and then they can also serve as your Wi-Fi signal or your Li-Fi signal, you've got double duty.
Yeah, we used it in network segmentation for manufacturing prototypes. So where we replaced the network inside the lab of manufacturing environment with Li-Fi. We were testing that kind of out. We're still in the middle of some analysis of that, but yes, got you. Understood. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right.
Are there any more judge questions for Wendy? All right, fantastic. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
So finally, our next presenter is Mr. Paul Arandawa from AI Cyber.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
Thanks for the opportunity, and it's great to hear so many new innovation, and I'm going to share what I have here. Thank you for the opportunity again. My name is Paul Arandawa. I'm the managing partner for AI Cyber. So the vision of our company is to provide the next generation solutions that are secure, scalable, and robust, and solve most of our nation's critical technology problems. We're discussing a whole bunch of them here. And the one that I'm going to focus on here is a universal problem. A little bit about our joint venture. It was just founded in 2021. It is a joint venture between UVS Infotech and Magnus Management. UVS Infotech is an SBA 8A certified company, and Magnus is a WSB. UVS was founded back in 2012 by myself and another former a good friend of mine, and we were both former senior directors at University of Maryland. We were running all the mission critical systems there for many, many decades, and we were like, okay, we got to start our company. That's how it started. So we partnered up with Magnus for the reason because we are a forward-thinking emerging technologies company, and Magnus brings a lot of experience in the cyber world. And so our collective energy is focused towards mainly bringing artificial intelligence, machine learning, and intelligent automation towards the cyber side of it. But today's use case that I'm going to go over is not cyber related. It's about Section 5 weight rehabilitation, right? So the need here is that the Section 5 weight is a federal mandate. It is mandated by the federal government that everything that is put out for consumption to the citizenry or internal facing must confine to the Section 5 weight guidelines. So that's one of the needs, right? The second need is that every agency must provide a Section 5 weight compliance report to OMB on a bi-yearly basis. So these are the two needs for every particular agency, and the problem point here is that every federal agency does have a Section 5 weight program office, but they're not able to meet these particular needs. The reason being, Section 5 weight currently, as it is, it is heavily labor intensive. It's very cumbersome. It requires a lot of human capital, generates a lot of process inefficiencies, inaccuracies, and the process itself is not audited. The result is, of course, non-compliances, generating internally and externally, and sometimes they lead to litigation, right? So now target clients for us are literally all Section 5 weight program offices across the agencies. Market opportunity, all federal agencies, literally all SLED. We do a lot of work in the state, local, and also higher education. So with online being the only source right now, the need for Section 5 weight has actually obviously grown quite significantly. Now, the technology, our solution that I want to go over is called ACAS. It's the Accessibility Compliance as a Service. It is a fully hosted solution. It sits in our FedRAMP High Gov Cloud, and it has 4 main modules. The first module is assessment module, analytics module, and the third one is the compliance dashboard and the compliance maintenance and management. Our patent is pending. We are actually going through the patenting process. The technology that is used in our solution is a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and RPA. So the problem point here that we're solving here is we are accelerating the whole Section 5 weight compliance process. Traditionally, the process exists is like it follows the whole internal life cycle. It follows through, gathering of the requirements and going through the scoping of it, and then doing the due diligence, and then the whole 9 yards. But our process is, let me show you. I think I'm running out of time here. So our process is a simple dashboard that sits in our FedRAMP High Gov Cloud. It gives this SME the ability to just come in here and put in the URL and put in what they're testing. And the best of them all, the problem solving is that it lets this person go do compliance for all the modules, all the different browsers. So for instance, if an agency has Chrome, Firefox, or Edge being their browser, this user is able to just click these buttons and able to process it throughout. So what it generates is a very simplified accessibility compliance report. What it is aggregated, what it is doing is it is going through each and every element and attribute of that particular web page. I'm sorry, just 30 more seconds. And what it does is it creates this aggregated report in this particular format. This tabular format is capturing the WCAG standard non-compliances, as you can see here. Also, it does is it takes a screenshot of every non-compliance that it has captured using artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it circles that particular non-compliances within that screenshot, and it presents it in this particular report. It also gives this particular reader the further steps as to how to resolve this non-compliance in a very robust way.
Thank you so much, Paul. Time is up, so we'll have to move on to judges' questions. So are any of the judges have any questions you'd like to ask, Paul?
Thanks for your time.
Hey, Paul, Cami here. My question is from education, higher education and online. How is it applying to that?
So we have higher education clients. We are managed services provider to a few. And so what they do is they actually, we run all of their mission critical assets through this particular compliance system. So that would be not only their website, but their student information systems, their blackboards, and and also their course catalogs and their other catalogs. So what it does is it gives them like a dashboard view as to how their compliance levels look like. They want to make sure that all of those assets are accessible by every student, staff, and faculty in that particular instance. And they are able to run this particular report. get these non-compliances in a very expeditious manner and actually go after them and solve them. So we have seen that our solution actually has accelerated compliance. It is by 93% versus, if you were to do it in a traditional way versus, running it through this particular system. I hope that answers.
LMSs already have those features, right? That basically Blackboard has a feature that tells you whether it's a plugin that you have it that tells you whether it is accessible or not. So it is on top of it. It is additional service. What does it do?
Yes. So Blackboard is one example. Student information system where the students are actually logging into to see their grades or, to enroll into classes. Let's say PeopleSoft or another comparable ERP system. That actually also is a good candidate. And that's where we provide these services. Also their website. Their website actually is where, the students come in and, look at the academic catalogs and, log into the programs and the courses. And that's where they do the enrollment. So all of those systems are mission critical. So this tool has been pretty helpful there.
So Paul,
I'm sorry.
Paul, thank you for your presentation, Polly Hall. When you think about your competitors who also provide these automated solutions, and then the solution that you have developed through your joint venture, can you talk about some of the differentiators? What capabilities does this provide that might not be met in the competitive marketplace?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Polly. So traditional accessibility compliance tools use something called spiders and crawlers. So they are actually like JAWS, right? For instance, JAWS is an assistive technology which is used by people with visual disabilities. So those are the tools that are being used, and they are really the spiders and crawlers. Versus our solution here, our solution uses AI and machine learning scripts. That we have generated, and it when it inspects each and every one of those elements, like for instance, this particular screenshot that I have here, it generates this very robust report. So let's say if this particular radio button is non-compliant, so it took a snapshot of this particular non-compliance, it circled it right here, and it told you why is it non-compliant and what needs to be done to make it compliant. So the spiders and crawlers are only good for a purpose of just kind of going through it and kind of stopping at a certain point and kind of not moving forward. Our solution gives you a whole comprehensive report versus, just that ability.
Thank you.
Oh, this is Armando. I know it seems like I know a little bit about all this stuff because I think I'm old, but that's why. So have you compared this technology with what's going on at the National Library Services, which is the sort of the blind research content they digitize or they make it available to the visually impaired community, everything that they can out of the Library of Congress. Have you compared with some of that technology? I've done some projects around this area with that organization, so they're constantly trying to do that. Because I'm trying to understand almost a Pi's question, the differentiator. I'm not sure I understand how the AI works, and that's a term, that's a ubiquitous term. So we don't have time to get into your AI, what your algorithms are, and what really makes it AI versus just something that's crawling, as you said, the website to look for non-compliant context or text or within the website. But I'm assuming it stops. If I had to describe this in tiers, it probably, and let's say there's three tiers. There's the website, the applications, the common UI elements. That's kind of where it stops, right? It doesn't go to video, doesn't go to those kinds of things, right? To assess those kinds of things for, hey, are you translating your academic content into that's into something that can be transmitted to the visually impaired or even somewhat hearing impaired. I know when we worked on some of that. The other thing is it won't assess things like if someone's taking a computer science class that has visualization elements, and if you did this, you'd be my hero, because this is a challenge that NLS has right now, is how do you take dashboards and make them 508 compliant so that, because everyone's used to visualization. You haven't figured that one out, have you? I'll
not to that level, but Armando, what we do is we actually are almost getting an endorsement from the National Institute of Blind, which is NIB. They work very closely with the agency that you were just mentioning. So collectively, we are going to be looking at that, with their little help from our technology perspective of it. So also this particular solution, it is already in production. Some of our federal clients are using it. It is being considered right now for an ATO and a FedRAMP. So I would be more than happy to show you a demo of this solution. I think I probably wasn't able to cover it in this very limited time. So I think a demo can definitely show you more aspects of what this does. And the AI machine learning, it uses a blend of RPA also. So so that's how we are able to accelerate. For instance, let's say a traditional web page. If a person would actually confirm or validate a particular web page through those three different browsers on a manual basis. Let's say it takes them 30 minutes for each through each browser. That's an hour and a half worth of work. If we done it, we have compared it to our particular solution here. It takes literally like 2 minutes, and gives you this comprehensive report. Which
is it your own RP or are you plugging into someone else's RP?
No, it is actually, we're product agnostic. So all those RPA companies are after us right now because of this particular solution.
You don't have an API or something that connects to somebody else's robotic process automation, and that's how you can accelerate the process of doing those human steps, and by having the robotic process automation technology to it. Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to show you guys a demo of it. I mean, it's that definitely will give you more answers to these questions.
And I know you guys are really short on time, but I do have one question. Paul, thank you very much for your presentation. So I'm sort of curious. I really look at things as 110, 100, try to identify, solutions as early on in the process. Have you looked at opportunities to try and work with organizations during the development process and rolling out their service delivery of their information before it gets published out, so that you can help these organizations be more proactive? And because I've gone through this cycle many times, and a lot of times it's reactionary. Have you thought of working with organizations or possibly working with providers to provide those platforms so that they're always 508 compliant? Over.
We are. And Glenn, that's a good question. Obviously, in my opinion, this thing belongs up above in the SDLC, as opposed to, at the tail end of it, we're just kind of doing the confirmation. So at a very unit level, also it belongs, right? Once a developer has developed something, they run it through unit testing. I mean, at that point. But also, to answer your question, I think the software manufacturers, right? So I think a lot of them do have to submit the Section 508 compliance report. I mean, they're very interested in using our solution, as opposed to hiring a third party Section 508 folks just to kind of get that form filled and check that box. Yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, we are looking into some of those elements. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that just about wraps it up, although I know there are lots of other questions everyone wanted to ask. But what I'd like to do at this point, first of all, thank all of our participants. We had Human Touch, Colvin Run Networks, GQ Inc., and then, of course, AI Cyber. So great presentations, and I tell you, I would not want to be one of the judges having to make a decision. But what we'd like to do now is, and thank you, judges, you had some great questions. We're going to have you go off and discuss the different companies. So we'll say goodbye to you now. And then I'm going to get the notification when you're ready to announce a winner, and we'll have you come back. So if you want to sign out of this and then go into your separate room, that would be great. And then when we're done, we'll call you back. And we're going to entertain the audience for now with some other things. So we'll allow you to have your time. And Armando, I think you need to sign off of this. And you're on mute. There we go. All right. Well, next, I'm excited to have Louis Shepard. Louis Shepard is going to fill us in on the Intelligence Committee. He's a member of that and has a long background. And Louis, before we get started, I think it's probably important for people to know your background. If you could give a little kind of history of yourself, and then we really want to hear about what you guys are up to.
Sure. Thanks so much, Barbara. And at the AFCEA Intelligence Committee, we appreciate this opportunity to speak to your audience. We love working with your committee and all the other committees and subcommittees across across AFCEA. I've spent time in government and also in the tech industry, going back many decades in Silicon Valley, in DC at the Defense Intelligence Agency, where I was the head of requirements and research. We did a lot of great R&D. And currently I'm back with another tech company, VMware there, but I particularly spend time with the AFCEA Intelligence Committee, where I'm the vice chairman, retired General Bob Noonan, former Army G2 and director of commanding general of INSCOM and a lot of other great things in his career. He's the chairman of our committee. Just to tell people about it, because we actually have our 2-year cycle of new member elections coming up. So we have an applications process that's easily findable on the AFCEA website. I've got on the screen, if people can see, some photos of our last class, which came in just 2 years ago. A really phenomenal group. On the far right there, you can see a former DIA director, Vince Stewart, an old friend, Jason Batchelor, who's from Lockheed Martin. We've got several small company representatives on our AFCEA Intelligence Committee, and they help us do what we do, which is drive thought leadership in support of the public-private partnership between the IC and the great, particularly technological industrial base that supports the community. Let's see, we do events like you. We've typically done them in person for us, especially because we do classified events quite commonly. So the last year has been a real challenge. We've transitioned to doing many unclass virtual online events, and that's been great. We're looking forward to this fall doing a hybrid event, our first one in a year and a half, with our fall intelligence symposium. But in 2 weeks, if people do go to the AFCEA Intelligence website, and the link is there on the screen also, in 2 weeks, we're having our spring event, which is a phenomenal event with a great list of keynotes and speakers and a lot to learn. On the next slide, I have 2 slides. I'm also speaking on behalf of the what's called the EPIC Committee, which it's our adjunct. We call them the kids. It's the under 40 people, the early professionals in intelligence committee of AFCEA. And that committee is one which also has about the same number of members, a couple of dozen members, and some government liaison members, serving government people. It's currently led by a great representative of the small business community, Mark Kandra of Cinertex LLC. Also do cleared events and uncleared events. They have guest speakers. They do get-togethers, currently virtually. It's really a very great active group that does a lot of outside outreach to the younger people may or may not have an interest in working in intelligence, but does a great kind of outreach and recruitment effort on behalf of the industrial base of the intelligence community. They do one of the best things. I've been a judge. This is a great event for judging. The final thing I'll mention, they do an annual hackathon, and they have information about that on the EPIC website. That hackathon team is designed to generate interest and novel thinking in problem solving for intelligence problems. So it's really a tremendous group. So thanks for the opportunity for us to reach your audience about the great things we're doing in intelligence.
Barbara, we're not able to hear you.
I can read her lips. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, Barbara, I think you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, that's the worst thing you want to do. In any event, I was saying that was very interesting, and I'm sure folks will be interested in participating in those upcoming events. And the upcoming events are, I'm assuming, unclassified?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct. All unclassified. Yeah.
Okay, great. Very good. Well, thanks
Yeah.
again. And good luck with your committee. I'm sure we'll be doing more collaborative things together.
Thanks very much, Barbara and Heather, and best of luck with the rest of your program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Heather, I know that you're coming up as the new chair, but we've had a busy year with you and Ton Wilson kind of running the ship, and I think that from my experience on being on the committee, I know we've had sort of record turnout to participate in different subcommittees, and it's just been a really pack-filled year. In spite of COVID, we managed to have all of our meetings virtually. And would you mind sharing some of what the other subcommittees are doing?
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks so much, Barbara. So this year, if you're not aware of the Small Business Committee, I encourage you to look into it. You can find more information on the AFCEA International's website. But the Small Business Committee is dedicated to helping small businesses achieve their goals. And as Barbara mentioned, this past year, we had like record participation. It's a hard committee to be accepted into just due to like the slots that are available. But one of the wonderful things is we had like 100% participation with subcommittees that are completely focused on small businesses achieving those goals. So a couple examples, the Innovation Connection that you're watching now is just one way that we support, the small companies by fostering engagement and collaboration with private sectors and government, customers. Additional initiatives include our Small Business Center of Excellence, which is right now, we just finished our third series, but that series has been going on for several years. And it establishes informal mentor-protege relationships for any AFCEA member. It's not just limited to those who participate with the Small Business Committee, but large businesses and small businesses can come together and form many-to-many relationships. But one of the things Thomas Perry, who leads that from VG Systems for the Small Business Committee, has done is he's really fostered information flow and education in a very coachable way. It's a very relatable group. So they've covered topics such as like what you need to know to get started, how to engage with not just industry partners, for relationships, but also with government customers, anywhere from marketing and getting your capabilities out there, your go-to-market strategy, as well as RFPs and what, best practices for actual solicitations, how you should budget for those things. And then the last in the series is 2 weeks from now. It's in 2 Thursdays from now, and they'll be covering like the transition portion. So when you're no longer small and you're ready to move on to that mid or large, phase, how the best ofs, companies who have successfully done that, their tips in helping people. And the great part about those many-to-many relationships is these aren't just, one time or opportunity specific. They've resulted in real revenue for companies and, creating strategic relationships that are the long game. So it's really nice to watch our members in AFCEA grow together and form those long-lasting relationships. Another subcommittee that we have it's called the Business Development Roundtable. That is an opportunity for Small Business Committee members to come together and talk about opportunities where we can best align, where there's potential teaming arrangements that can be made. And another great tool that we leverage as part of that is the AFCEA's database of companies. So if you're not aware of that database, you should refresh yourself on some of those capabilities and the offerings that AFCEA brings to you, because you can go in and you can search for capabilities, socioeconomic set-asides. There's a lot of information that you can find just through other AFCEA memberships in that database. Just to help, increase your PWIN, find niche skill sets. We also have a webinar series led by Lisa Shea Munt. And so Lisa has really done a fantastic job bringing together a lot of really incredible government panelists to talk about really big things like category management, mergers and acquisitions. You can see them posted on LinkedIn. Those series are also recorded and saved onto the AFCEA International's library digitally, so you can access them even if you're not available to attend when they're running live. But we've gotten a lot of really strong feedback about how important and invaluable the information being shared is from them. And I would be remiss if I didn't put this out there to everybody. Every summer, just like the Intelligence Committee, we open up applications to join the Small Business Committee. So, over the next couple months, keep your eye out on the AFCEA International LinkedIn feed, as well as Ton Wilson, my own Heather Lacroix LinkedIn profiles will be putting out there applications to apply to be part of the Small Business Committee. It's a great group of people, and each year we just add more and more momentum to help small businesses thrive. So what do you think, Barbara? You've been part of our group for a long time.
Yes, this is the second year, so I'll be on it one more year. But yeah, it's been I've seen a great amount of growth. When I first came on, it was lots going on. But I think the leadership that you and Tom had, you've really done a lot, and everybody is really excited and wants to participate. And I think it helps. The nice thing is it helps with your own business because you're exposed to different companies for teaming. You're exposed to different technologies. So if you need to partner and you need to find a specific, emerging tech. And then you've got the greater AFCEA International, which you can always reach back to. And some of the committees, ours is made up of small businesses, although we do have a couple of large businesses that are focused on supporting small businesses. So, yes. And we have, and they're actually looking for the small businesses, and they've been really very helpful. If they need a technology, they'll kind of put the word out. So I think
I was going to say, that's a great point. So the Small Business Committee is not limited to just small businesses. Large businesses are members. Most large businesses, you'll see that they have a small business office, where they're trying to find, and they really manage that small business outreach, finding companies that will help meet their subcontract requirements. But the large companies that participate in the Small Business Committee, they provide a lot of valuable information about, the right ways, things, what you shouldn't do when you're making introductions of yourself and presenting your capabilities to large businesses. That insight is always helpful because sometimes you never know, how to present, or someone might not have a lot of experience presenting that. But we also have some variable experience too. I think this year we had a venture capitalist, join. We have legal expertise come in, so it's not just service providers to the government. We have business development experts that are also part of this group as well. So it's a really diverse group of folks with insights and information that we all need, to succeed in this industry.
And I think one of the other things, as part of the committee, you have, we have monthly meetings, like I'm sure all the committees have, but we usually invite a government speaker to talk on either a trending topic or a lot of people are interested in a specific agency and want to see the opportunities that are coming out. So we have smaller sessions with these folks where we can get more personal and down to earth and ask, direct questions of them. So that's also very exciting, and it means that they're more accessible.
It is. Those Q&A sessions are actually they're really intimate, so we've had insight, and next month we'll be receiving a briefing on Polaris vehicle. We had a great session from NITAC about the CIO-SP4 upcoming solicitation. We even met with Ms. Arrington about CMMC requirements, and that was a very, very intimate session. She held it open for Q&A for much longer than what we would normally see with that. it's really fantastic access. And the other part that we find, Stephanie has come to talk to us multiple times about, the mass schedule consolidation, what the implications and, timelines look like for category management, which will impact all federal contractors pretty significantly. So, having those doorways into talking to the government, I know I've had multiple times where I've sent follow-up questions directly, and they always respond. It's a great introduction, a good warm introduction to key leaders in the government.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point. I do want to say that I've heard word that the judges, it looks like they're finishing up, and they are just doing some final chit-chatting about the winner. So it looks like we're very close. So all of those companies that are participating, the drum roll is about to happen, and we'll hear from them. So just while we're waiting for them, and I'll get a signal. I think they're just wrapping up. I know, and this, I don't want to put you on the spot, so please, if I am, feel free to say you're not ready to discuss that, but you're going to be you're going to be the chair next year of this committee. And yes. I know it's great that some of the chairs that leave, they can help. So I'm sure you can reach out to Ton and Eric before her and crew. Do you have any ideas of what you're going to do? Are you going to kind of keep the momentum rolling, or have you had a chance to think about that?
So I actually do have a pretty good grasp, and it's not so much my idea. It's actually coming from requests. So based off of the momentum of this year's how involved we've had people, we've had a lot more outreach coming from chapters. And so as the Small Business Committee continues, to help small businesses, really interactive subcommittees, like those that we talked about, our major initiative going to next year will be really getting a lot more involved at the chapter level, because we want them to be represented in the Small Business Committee. And so there's a lot of different AFCEA chapters, and a lot of them actually, from discussions with them, have leaders within their chapters who are dedicated to small businesses. So there's good synergy going on, already from there. We have a couple chapters that have already asked and are participating in the Small Business Center of Excellence. And some of them are already doing things that are a little bit similar. So it's a really great marriage. They complement, the information that's shared. So we're just going to keep going on that. And then the other element is this year, Elizabeth Moon from AFCEA has been a great help as we start really engaging with young AFCEA. And I will apologize in advance. They just changed their names, and I don't remember what their titles are now. But that's a really important factor, in involvement and getting more just participation, through the network of AFCEA.
And I think the young AFCEANs, or whatever their new name is, that is anyone 40 and under? Is that the
yes,
definition?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I've gotten word that the judges will be coming in momentarily. So they're going to sign back in. And then as soon as they come in, we will get the announcement. So this is exciting. And I know for all the companies that participated, I think everybody did an excellent job, and every single technology was so interesting. And I mean, there's a lot of thought behind it, and it's nice to see that, there's so much enthusiasm for these. The judges seem to be very interested and asked a lot of questions. So, and it also sounds like there may be some follow-up meetings based on some of the discussions here today.
The diverse solutions presented, they're pretty incredible. They solve a lot of different problems, but they're all really practical and applicable right now. So they all definitely meet a need. I would not want to be a judge either.
I know. And they're coming. I just got word they're coming back. So this is really exciting. And you know what? I tell you, having this year, we did it with COVID. And in a lot of ways, it was hard at first. I think everybody, those of us that like to be around people, it was, getting used to, but I think we've done a great job, and we've certainly learned how to use these virtual meetings, and I don't think they're going to go away because, if you can't make it or if you're in a different state, it's great to be able to dial in. And there's Rocky. So we hear that the judges are coming back and that they've made a decision.
Yes, they'll be back in a minute.
Okay, well, there's Glenn. So we have one judge coming back. We're all very excited to find out. There's Anita. Very good. So we will give them another minute. There's Armando. Great. And who are we missing? Polly and Cami. So we'll give them a second to dial back in. We've just been discussing some of the different things that AFCEA is up to and kind of where the small business group is going to go in the next year. So, okay, one more judge. We'll see if Cami joins us. And I know if the companies want to come back online, put their cameras on. There they are. We have two. We may have everybody. I'm just not in that view. So let me ask this. Do we have a spokesperson for the judges that will be doing the announcement?
Yes, Barbara, this is Polly. I'm going to represent the judges.
Awesome. So I don't see Cami. Let's see. I know she had a little.
She's coming.
She's coming. Okay, great. Perfect.
I am in now. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, Polly, we'll turn it over to you.
Oh, terrific. And so maybe my view is a little bit different. I see Bill and Wendy and Nikhil. Is Paul still on with us as well? So we've got all four companies.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, terrific. Well, first of all, on behalf of the judging panel, I want to say how much we enjoyed learning about your technology, your businesses and capabilities, and how grateful we are for the time to hear your presentations. I think that the AFCEA innovation challenge here, it was really fun to participate in, and I really enjoyed the innovation connection, and I really encourage all of our participants to continue to engage in the connection and get the feedback on your capabilities. So we wanted to start with some feedback on each of the company's presentations, and we'll go in reverse order. I think to start with, I wanted to start out by thanking Paul for the presentation on the 508 automated solutions capability. It is an important, very important a part of the work we do in government. We want to make sure that our content is accessible to all, and it is really compliance isn't what it's about. It's about making sure that our information is accessible to all of our constituents, both within and outside of government, including, most importantly, the citizens that need to access government services. And so you're in the right area doing an important work. The questions that we have, or the feedback that we have, is to start with the novel in your pitch next time, because I think we ran out of runway, and thus, as judges, we weren't able to really ascertain what the disruptive capabilities that your system includes have, right? You mentioned AI, but we didn't really get to see and feel it and understand how that value proposition came to bear. So that is our feedback, because I think you're in the right area, doing the right thing with the right technology. So please keep at it. Really excited to hear that you're close to FedRAMP ATO. that is going to be just a huge opportunity for you to bring that capability to bear across government as well. So thank you, and hope that was helpful. Wendy from KiteFin Li-Fi. Also, I just enjoyed learning about the capabilities. I'm always really interested in these, alternative pathways for technology. And so the learning about the differences between RF and what Li-Fi can bring to bear was really helpful to me as a judging panel. And your mission understanding and connectivity and the strong business the management that was evident in your presentation also were really appreciated by the judges. As a judging panel, I think one of the things that we came back with for feedback was that we couldn't ascertain if this was truly like a new application of existing technology or if it was more a integration of existing technology. And so I think for us, helping kind of frame that and understand the differentiation between that would really help us understand what makes it really innovative beyond the fact that it's just a cool way to get around some of the very clear limitations of the RF that you presented. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you for your presentation. I'm going to move next to human touch. Bill, it was really cool learning about the kiosk as a service, and appreciate all of the time that you shared, really helping us understand the use case for it. IT support, I think we learned very, very quickly during COVID was a really major area of support to, whether you're private or government sector, we all needed it in order to do our job over the past year. But what the last past year did was really just excel innovation in this space. And so, the fact is that the use case for the capability may be fast becoming a little bit closed, right? With the augment of virtual reality and augmented reality, remote capability beyond physical requirements is really kind of accelerating and has already accelerated. And so we just recommend to you to rethink a little bit about how the capabilities you're inherently providing there that remain relevant might take advantage of some of those new capabilities that are becoming more readily available out of this past year.
Thank you.
Which brings us to Colvin Run Networks, which was our, winner for today. We really felt that you understand so congratulations. Let me start there. Very, very well executed presentation, clear understanding of your use case and marketplace. I love the clapping that's going by the screen. That's so cool. The security of our supply chain is just a topic of daily conversation. It is a critical area. The solar winds and now the pipeline, like every day we're seeing threats. And so I think the reality is that you're onto something here. Your business maturity is evident. I think we saw that there were some patents pending. And so we were really interested in learning more about where your capability can go, and to see how this can roll out into potentially even new data sets that you might not be considering yet, but also building off of the microelectronics, other supply areas over time. So congratulations. Thank you so much to all of our presenters for this innovation challenge. We really, really enjoyed this. We loved learning about the capabilities, and we encourage all of our audience members to come spend time sharing your stories and your capabilities with us in the future. Back to you, Barbara.
Well, that's terrific, and thanks again to all of the participants. And I wanted to give Colvin Run Networks an opportunity to say a few words as the winner.
All right. Well, thank you so much. First and foremost, Anita, thanks for following up with me to attend this session. And Polly, thank you very much for the kind feedback and words. My lawyers will want me to be careful that the patent's not pending; it's in process, and there's some nuance there. But look, I really appreciated getting to hear some of the other presentations. Wendy and Bill, we should definitely talk because as we try to sell new devices into some of these sensitive applications, it's important that they are assured. So we are working with some other startups like Grok. And people like that to kind of help take those products to market in a good way for these sensitive applications. So look, I really appreciate the opportunity. I love the picture. I think Elizabeth or was it Miss Tan? I don't know who posted it on LinkedIn. My wife loves the look on my face there, so she appreciated that. And look, I really appreciated. I keep saying appreciated because this is off the cuff remarks, but. Yeah, I could use some of that small business polish, Heather. It was great to be here on a Friday afternoon. Thank you all for taking time out, and I'm really very happy to have been able to participate and hopefully follow up with some conversations here. So thank you very much. AFCEA has been fantastic to be a part of.
Well, thank you, and really terrific judges. Thank you all for taking the time. You gave some excellent feedback. It's it's great to see you here, and all the participants. Great jobs. I'm sure I'm going to be getting phone calls about people wanting to connect with you. So I'm sure there'll be much more follow-on. And is Elizabeth on the line? Because I wanted Elizabeth to take another screenshot.
I'm here. Yep.
Yes, with the winner and all of us participating here. So if you can do your screenshot. Do you want us to smile or?
Give me 1 second. All right, ready, and here we go. Oops, just a second. The comments are popping up. Give me 1 more second. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Very nice. And again, thank you so much, and look forward to the next session. Have a great weekend, and we have some new CDC guidelines. So if you're vaccinated, you cannot wear masks. So
So thank you. Make sure to invite me again, because this is like what I do, right? Is I'm looking for this kind of stuff across all these different stakeholders. So this was really good for myself.
How good. Very good.
Soon we will do this in person soon.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.